one more time. Warm up those tires. Hit your marks and let's go racing, boys and girls. NASCAR, Indycar, Formula One, and Formula E racing talk. This is the fastest hour in radio.
He's going to do it. He's going to win the race and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. California's Kevin Harvick does it. Holy cow! Chase Elliott is going to become the NASCAR Nationwide Series champion for 2014. Are you kidding me? Yes!
For the second in a row, Matt Crafton is the Camping World Truck Series champion.
3 times he has been denied an Indycar championship. Well, not anymore. Will Power is an Indycar champion.
Ladies and gentlemen, our 2014 FIA Formula One World Champion, Lewis Hamilton.
Here's your host, Steve West and Justin Harbour.
All that stuff that you just heard right there,
Yeah.
save for one,
Okay.
changes officially after this weekend.
Yeah. You know what he's telling me right now already? He's telling me, Dustin, you need to get a new one done. He's already reminding me we're 1 week removed.
I understand that, but you think about this for just a second. Every single one of those champions that we just talked about,
Poof, gone.
Every one of them has changed except for Lewis Hamilton.
Well.
And Formula One still hasn't ended their season. They do that this weekend.
That's right.
So there you go.
But there's no change going to happen anyway, so it's still that one. So I could basically I could just take last year's cut and just bring it.
Yeah, that one you can save and just bring that one over.
Well, no, it says 2015. No, 2014. So
Does it really?
Yep, I got to find a new one.
Oh.
Happy day.
So close.
He's still trying to make me do work.
It's because, hey, it's what we do here. Hey, welcome into it. Post-Thanksgiving, by the way, let us be among the last to say happy Thanksgiving to you and your family and hope that it has been a safe and a happy one. And happy post-Black Eye Friday as well. And I'm sorry, that's what I'm always going to call it because effectively when you go and you look at the news now, they're going to lead off with a whole bunch of people being stupid in a Walmart or a Target.
Mine started Thursday night after I left your house.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I stopped at Walmart because I needed to get cups, and I didn't think.
Big mistake.
I really didn't think. I took the time. I was like, yeah, you know what, Walmart, why not? Pulled down, like, there's an exceptional amount of cars here, thinking none of the sales have started yet, so I should be fine. Nobody's baseball bats in hand, grab your torch and pitchfork, all that stuff. I walk in, bad idea. So I'm like, I'm already in. I'm now committed. So I go back, I find the cups as I weave through the people fighting over stupid stuff.
Yes.
And then I get the cups, I get up front, couldn't go around the normal way, had to go back through apparel. I was instructed with hand gestures, you must go through apparel. Oh, I'm sorry, I just have red cups. So I had to walk all the way back around half the store to go through, get checked out.
To get a checkout line.
And still had to show my receipt coming out the door for cups.
Yikes.
Don't make that mistake, ladies and gentlemen. This PSA brought to you in part by...
Yes, indeed.
Dollar General.
Have you seen the memes that are on Facebook? We see them all the time. Somebody will find a picture of something and then they'll put their own little thing on it.
Yes.
And it's one about an adult looking at a kid, and the kid's got his eyebrow raised up like Spock from Star Trek, and he's going, "So you're telling me," and in this case it was, "So you're telling me that you got a bunch of people that are going to go out and they're going to beat the tar out of each other on a Friday morning for the things that yesterday they sat around and prayed to God and gave thanks for."
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah,
there's been some great videos already this year, too.
Yeah.
People beating down gates and everything else. I hate Black Friday. I don't go anywhere near stores, and it was my stupid move to go there after I left your house.
I want to say it was about 4 years ago, maybe. I was still doing 7 to 9 p.m., and Jeff Myers, co-host and producer of the Entertainment Roundtable.
Happy birthday to him, by the way.
By the way, yes, happy birthday to him. He was the producer of that show. And we came in Friday night, Black Friday and everything, and I asked him, "Hey, you up for doing the show?" He's like, "Yeah, we can do the show. What the heck? Okay, good." And it kept us from being out in the stores and all that kind of stuff anyway. Not that we were going to go, but still. So we come in, we do the show, and I start doing show prep. And all I did was the local news sites, like BirminghamNewsAL.com, and then, the Birmingham and the Huntsville TV stations.
Yeah.
And every single one of them's leading off with these stories about some woman has tattooed some other woman at a Walmart or a Target over a toaster.
If you're a lead guy at a TV station, Black Friday is your bread and butter.
So I started doing those stories, and right in the middle of the show, I probably wasn't even 30 minutes into the show, and I said, "You know what? I'm changing the name of Black Friday. It is now officially Black Eye Friday."
Yes, I remember listening to that show.
I've seen that becoming a hashtag.
Yes, I told you about that Thursday. I said, I remember that show. I was listening from Maryland online.
I've seen it becoming a hashtag. I'm glad that that's actually taking off. That's a good thing.
It's your. See, that's your whole thing.
That's right. It's my contribution to society. All right, here we go.
We have a better contribution now, though.
That's right. For the next 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
Not 60, 90 minutes. Holiday weekends, we get to do this, which means maybe 2 more times we get to do this. Woo-hoo. Christmas weekend, New Year's weekend, too. Something to look forward to.
Okay.
Yeah. In that point in time, we'll have to figure out how much news we actually have.
I'm going to have to make sure my battery's charged on my cell phone.
That's true, too. You'll be out of town.
I will be.
You'll be close to a plug-in. That's what you're going to have to do.
Yeah. Be all right.
All right. Let's see here. 941-1011, toll free 866-551-9933. Feel free. Be a part of the show.
Yeah.
We would love to have you be a part of the show. Of course, you can call in or you can be a part of it online. For example, on Facebook. Of course, we got the page, facebook.com/thefastesthour-in-radio. Dustin, you gave us a supersized promo this week.
Yeah, I know. I kind of felt that it needed to step up a notch a little bit. But you can find us, like he said, on Facebook, on Twitter, @FastestHour, on Instagram, @FastestHour. We kept it simple, the KISS method. I love that method. So
yes.
You can also be finding our webpage. I will have that done, I promise, by next year.
Okay. You got a month.
That's what I'm saying. I will have it done by next year.
All right, let's take a look at what happened last weekend, just in case you missed any part of it. And, of course, everything started off on Friday night. Last Saturday during the show, we talked about it. So the crown the Camping World Truck Series champion. 2 more crowns set to be distributed out Saturday, going in with a 19-point lead. A lot would have needed to go wrong for Chris Buescher not to claim his first ever Xfinity Series title. He only needed to finish in the top 13, and nobody else could do anything. So the driver of the number 60 Ford Mustang played it very safe and settled, as ESPN.com put it, for the title. Buescher never made any mistakes. He avoided trouble throughout the afternoon, came home 11th, more than enough to hoist the champion's trophy and the check when it was all over. As for the race itself, Moonlighter Kyle Larson claims the win, edging another Moonlighter, Austin Dillon, who settled for second. That's a settle. You settle for the championship. I say you don't settle for a championship. You settle for second place.
Pretty much.
That's followed by Eric Jones, who the night before had won the Camping World Truck Series title. Then you got Brian Scott, Ryan Blaney through 5th, 6th through 10th, Daniel Suarez. We'll get back to him later. Ty Dillon, defending series champion Chase Elliott in his final race full-time in the Xfinity Series, or for points anyway, as he moves up to run for points in the Sprint Cup Series next year. Regan Smith in his last ride for Junior Motorsports, and then Darrell Wallace Jr. rounding out the top 10. Final points. Buescher beats out Chase Elliott by 15 points, Ty Dillon by 18. The only other driver that had a mathematical chance to win the 2015 title was Regan Smith. When all said and done, he finishes 22 points out. Daniel Suarez finished 5th in the final standings, followed by Elliott Sadler, then Darrell Wallace Jr., Brian Scott, Brendan Gaughan, Ryan Reed in 10th. Nice run by the 2 rookies, Daniel Suarez and Darrell Wallace Jr. We will, later on when we get into Xfinity Series news, we'll break down all the awards and how everything else rolled out. Rookie of the Year, most popular driver, so on and so forth.
Oh, yeah. Those guys did a great job this year, though. I mean, we talked about them a lot. It was great to talk about some of the rookies coming in and stuff. So Daniel Suarez, it seemed like we were talking about him each week.
Yes.
At one point or another.
He and Darrell Wallace Jr., they were constantly battling it out.
Yeah, they were. We saw a lot of great action this year.
It really did. If you kind of overlook the next Xfinity Series, you kind of missing out. Really.
You do. And that's the thing. A lot of people, they don't pay attention to the Truck Series. They don't pay attention to the Xfinity Series. You're looking at the guys you're going to want to follow when your driver retires. Like Jeff Gordon this year retiring, you're going to need somebody to follow. You're going to want somebody coming up. So, I mean, you got to be following somebody. I'd be looking at Daniel Suarez in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I'm in that position as of 1 year from now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well,
yeah, you'll be doing it too.
I'll be doing it at some point.
Yeah, we all will. I beg your pardon.
You know what that means?
What?
You're getting old.
No, you know what that means? You know what that really means?
I know that in more ways than one, my friend.
Yeah,
okay,
it doesn't mean you're getting old. I mean, well, okay, yeah. I was trying to make you feel better.
Yeah, well.
So congrats, John.
Yeah.
But it means you get to buy all new gear.
Yeah, talk to my wife.
Well, it was just a thought.
Right. I'm thinking
I always look forward to that.
I'm thinking
new
that
gear
won't be happening.
I get to buy all new gear next year.
That's true, too. You got a whole lot of Busch stuff instead of Budweiser stuff that you got to buy.
Yeah, I need to get used to drinking that, too. No joke.
Right, we're moving on.
Yeah.
The 4 drivers competing for the Sprint Cup Series title had to wait a little bit longer than planned to get their battle underway. Morning rain showers delayed things about 30 minutes. By the time the green flag dropped, and by the way, Air Titan, I know that we saw it in action in person out at Talladega a few years ago, and we were amazed by it, but I'm still constantly amazed by the fact that Air Titan it does such a great job.
It does.
Fantastic idea.
Especially at Homestead. And I remember hearing this week they were talking about the Air Titans. Did a tremendous job on Homesteads. Homestead is that one track. It's really weird how the Air Titan works 10 times better than it does on any of the normal tracks. For some reason, just the makeup of that track.
So, only 30 minutes delayed by the time the green flag dropped. All 4 drivers really showed they had cars to contend with. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Jeff Gordon, and Martin Truex Jr. all led at one point in time or another during the race. But as we started to move into nighttime, 2 cars began to emerge out of that pack. And while the retiring Jeff Gordon and Martin Truex Jr. would try hard, they simply didn't have enough to stay with the defending series champion Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch. I guess you can call him one of the ultimate comeback kids. Kyle Busch missed the first 11 races of the NASCAR Sprint Cup season because of a wreck that broke his leg and an ankle in the same season, or his foot, I should say, in the season opener for the Xfinity Series at Daytona. So he missed from Daytona 500 for the first 11 races of the year, needed a NASCAR waiver, needed to get a win, and needed to get inside the top 30 in points to become eligible for the chase. He did everything he needed to do. That included leading 41 laps to claim the win at Homestead, Miami last Sunday, and claimed the first championship of his career. Joins his brother, Kurt, as a champion. Kurt, of course, won his title back in 2004. Kevin Harvick actually led more laps, 46, but he couldn't catch Busch in the final lap, settling for second place. Then you got Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano third, fourth. Kyle Larson rounding out the top 5. Good weekend for Kyle Larson there. Maybe he's starting to make that comeback. We saw him come out, win Rookie of the Year in 2014, and do such great stuff. We thought 2015 was going to be that next step up.
We did.
It seemed like a step back.
Yeah, it was. I even said it right here on the show, and I think we agreed on it. We were going to see him win this year in the Sprint Cup Series.
We really thought he was.
The way that he came out of that rookie year was just spelling hello. It was going to happen, and it just bottomed out. But it was great to see him kind of come back at the end.
Maybe, just maybe, he's got himself set up for 2016.
Maybe.
Going through 10th, Jeff Gordon 6th, Matt Kenseth after his 2-race sabbatical. Kurt Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Denny Hamlin round out your top 10. Martin Truex Jr., who was the other contender for the title, he came home 12th. So all 4 of your top guys that were competing for the championship all finished inside the top 12. It's a nice run for all of them. I think Martin Truex Jr. probably the most disappointed because he feels like Homestead Miami is one of his not only favorite tracks, but one of the tracks that he does best at, and he wasn't able to quite cash in on that this particular weekend.
Yeah, he wasn't, and it was an up and down day, not only for him, but for all 4 of our championship guys.
Yeah.
I mean, just making the right calls on top of the pit box, the right adjustments. It worked out well for Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick, most of the race, but that last pit that they had, Kevin Harvick and even Rodney Childers, his crew chief, said they just went in the wrong direction. The track went a different way than they were thinking it was going to. So weather and everything else really came into play later on, I think, just the way that it set that track up. And they made a great call on that 18.
Not what Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers and the guys on the 4 team would like, but Kevin Harvick has now set the all-time record in the Cup Series for second-place finishes in a year.
Yeah. See, it's kind of a double-edged sword.
It shows consistency.
It does.
But unfortunately, in this case now, with the chase being the way it is, you need to win. How many times have we seen in this final race of the chase, you need to win that race? Kevin Harvick had to do it last year. Tony Stewart had to do it in 2011, for example. Kyle Busch had to win this year. If they didn't win, they weren't going to win the championship.
Well, it didn't really help Joey Logano. Ooh, too soon.
Smackdown.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one.
Bam.
I'm sorry, Joey.
That'll take care of that.
Better luck next year.
All right, final standings breakdown like this. The first 4 you've got: Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon, then Martin Truex Jr. 5th place is Carl Edwards. That's a pretty big deal. 5th place pays a big bonus in the upcoming Sprint Cup Awards ceremony. They want to make sure that you continue to fight all the way up until the end, so they give you a bonus check for finishing 5th. Easy for me to say. Following Edwards, rest of your top 10 in points reveals the just now smacked again, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Jimmy Johnson. There's your top 10 for the year. Other racing over the weekend happened in London, England. The annual Race of Champions began with a team competition, won for the first time by the home country, England. And then after 2 days of individual events, your overall winner, Formula One driver Sebastian Vettel beat out driving legend from the Le Mans Series Tom Christensen in the final round, 2 races to none, and he is your overall victor. Obviously, no NASCAR drivers taking a part in it. They were down in Homestead, Miami, trying to figure out whether they could hoist some hardware of their own.
It's always good to hoist hardware.
Either way, I mean, think about it. If you're running for points in a series, do you want to go over and participate in the race of champions, or do you want to go to the one that's actually, your bread and butter?
Stupid questions get stupid answers.
Feel free.
I'm just saying. I can't say it. He's going to have to hit the dump button.
There you go. This weekend, only one race is on the schedule. It is the final race of the 2015 Formula One season. Grand Prix of Abu Dhabi takes place on a 21-turn, 3.45-mile-long course. It'll air early Sunday morning on the NBC Sports Network. I say early because coverage begins at 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central Time. Most everything has been decided, really just some jockeying for positions and points behind third place in the Drivers' Championship. Everything's pretty much all but settled 1st through 10th in the Manufacturers' Cup.
Yeah, I mean, and this is not a knock against the sport or anything like that, but there's not going to be very many people that are going to be up at 6 a.m. Central Time, our time, to watch a race that they already know who the winner is. I mean, when you go in not knowing...
The only debate here is whether it's Nico Rosberg or Lewis Hamilton.
It's going to be Lewis Hamilton. I mean,
Nico Rosberg has been first in practice, and, well, I don't know. We'll find out.
So is that your choice? You gonna pick? You gonna go with?
I'm actually gonna go Nico Rosberg. I think he's got a bone to pick with everybody else in Formula One. He's got an attitude going on.
No. I'm going to go Lewis Hamilton, so we have a difference of opinion finally.
Okay.
There we go.
But we're both going with Mercedes. Hey, there's a shock.
Yeah, well, both. I'd definitely say Mercedes is going to win.
Now, there is a NASCAR event scheduled for this week.
Is there?
NBC Sports Network hosting the 2015 Sprint Cup Award Ceremony Friday night, December the 4th. Wynn Hotel and Casino in Vegas again. Comedian and Price is Right game show host Drew Carey going to be the MC for the evening. Coverage begins 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central Time. It's amazing now how that, you get this into Vegas. Now all of a sudden your MCs are people like Dennis Leary and Drew Carey.
I think it's great to see Drew Carey.
It's, big people that we now know as opposed, and I don't mean any disrespect to a guy like a Mike Joy or anybody from Motor Racing Network, or for example, for being the MC. Knock yourselves out. I think you do a fantastic job.
They do a bang job.
If you can go out and you can pull in a Drew Carey, it shows how far NASCAR has come in the pantheon of pop culture.
Well, I mean, look at the fact that some of our gentlemen start your engines that we've had. I mean, look at Kevin James, Adam Sandler. We're seeing I mean, there's a lot of big name people that go to a lot of races. Mm-hmm. They love the racing, but nobody knew about it until they start bringing them in. Now we're starting to find out they've got more of a thing.
We'll get back to those big names here in just a couple of seconds.
Oh, are we?
2016 Sprint Cup Rookie of the Year honors officially bestowed on during the Sprint Cup Awards ceremony, but we do know the winner, Brett Moffitt. Congratulations to him.
That's awesome.
The honor, with all the hype on the chase for the Sprint Cup finale, went practically unnoticed by most, but Moffitt ran 31 of the 36 Cup Series points races, driving for both Michael Waltrip Racing and Front Row Motorsports, ends up claiming the title. Granted, not as crowded a field this year as it was last year with Kyle Larson claiming it, but still. So congratulations to him. Odd note to the thrill of getting that honor is Moffitt actually has no racing plans for 2016.
Really?
His role with Front Row Motorsports, it was only the one-year deal through 2015. If Front Row Motorsports doesn't re-sign Brett Moffitt,
they're wrong.
Especially with all the reorganizing they're doing. We'll get back to that in a couple of seconds as well.
I tell you what, you said something practically unnoticed.
Yeah.
We noticed him all year long.
Sure.
We talked about him all year long. We talked about Brett Moffitt. So, Brett, you're welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to you. Hope everything continues to go on the upward track for you.
Love that.
If you become Sprint Cup Series champion, how do you celebrate your title?
I'm going to Disneyland.
Going to Disneyland. John, any ideas? How would you celebrate should you become Sprint Cup Series champion? Just thinking.
I know mine was cliche. You got to think of something really, really good.
There's a lot of thought there.
I'm not sure. I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Would going under the knife for surgery be your first choice?
I'm jumping at the bit.
Sweet.
Cut me, Doc.
Well, here comes Kyle Busch. Again, suffered the broken right leg and left foot in February's Xfinity Series crash. Caused him to miss the first 11 races of the season, blah, 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 blah. Mid-December, he will go back under the knife. Shortly after the Sprint Cup Awards ceremony in Vegas, he said that the surgeries are to pull the rod out of his right leg and the screws and plates out of his right foot. Yep, I know, it's early. Hope you enjoyed your breakfast. Early estimates say he's going to be down about a month. Said he should be back in time for the 2016 Daytona 500. He's looking forward. I don't know how many people actually say this. He's looking forward to the rehab.
Well, yeah, of course he's looking forward to the rehab. Now, if he came off this season on a sour note, not winning the championship, he'd probably be Mr. McGrumpy. But, I mean, as a matter of fact, we were talking about this, and I wanted to make sure we mentioned this.
Yes.
Chris Bearden went to the Fastest Hour in Radio Facebook page and was talking about Kyle Busch. Not a very happy camper right now.
No, and there are a lot of people that are questioning how can somebody, even with the NASCAR waiver, how can somebody miss 11 races in a year and even be eligible to win, much less win the title? He's not the only one that's saying that. Now, we have had, obviously Samantha Busch, Kyle Busch's wife, is going to defend him, but Jimmy Johnson defended the whole idea of it as well. And this whole idea of the waiver, because we talked about it when they announced that they were going to give Kyle Busch the waiver. Everything else was on him. He had to get into the top 30 in points, and he had to get a win.
Which we didn't think would happen?
No, we didn't.
No.
But we said it back then. NASCAR gave the waiver to him because it was NASCAR officials that said they felt responsible because they hadn't done the job of getting the safer barrier up in all the locations at Daytona International Speedway.
I understood that back a while ago.
Yeah.
But here's where that kind of went out the window.
Okay.
When we started going back to tracks later in the year, the tracks that we see twice a year, and no changes had been done to the walls or minuscule changes had been done, some tire packs and stuff and things of that nature. And we're still talking about it. We talked about it, 2 weeks ago on the show? That they're still talking about doing more.
Yeah.
Okay, well now, you know what? Forget that whole thing about it was y'all's fault and everything else. Now, it's on the tracks. It's not your fault. So the waiver be gone.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have seen Kyle Busch where he was, but I was seriously under the impression he wouldn't do it, as well as Chris Bearden was too. I mean, he was mad.
Yes, and he's not the only one. He's not the only. There are a lot of people.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
There's no response to it. We all we can say is that we understand your frustration, but we're not the ones that made the rules.
Yes. But this is the show where you can voice your opinion.
Absolutely.
And not be criticized over it
Again,
as well.
941-1011, toll-free 866-551-9933. Richard Petty confirmed Sam Hornish Jr. not going to be retained as the driver of the number 9 Ford Fusion for 2016. And while he knows who will not be driving, the 7-time champ and Hall of Famer himself says he has no idea who is going to be in the car for 2016. He says he's got a number of possibilities, but according to Petty, with the way that the sponsorship environment is right now, seems likely that the driver who becomes the teammate to Eric Almirola is going to have to bring in his own sponsor. There aren't that many of those in NASCAR these days.
No, there's not, and most of your newer companies are going to be doing a very small amount of races when it comes to things like that. So you're going to need to find several sponsors to cover season. I feel horrible for Sam Hornish Jr. though.
I do too.
Did such a great job in the Xfinity Series before he came back up to the Sprint Cup Series,
and
it just went right back down.
Yeah.
And he's another Elliott Sadler. And not knocking Elliott, but he does extremely well in that secondary series. When he comes up to that top level, he just doesn't seem to have that little niche that he needs.
I can only think of one driver at this point in time in the NASCAR top 3 series. Okay, I take that back. I can think of 3, and they're all spoken for. Okay. Obviously, you got Paul Menard.
Yes.
Menard's Home Improvement. That's his family store.
Yep.
John West Townley.
Yes.
Zaxby's family company again. The only other driver that's out there who kind of comes with his own sponsorship because they've been so closely allied is Justin Allgaier with Brandt. But guess who's already spoken for in the Xfinity Series? Justin Allgaier in Brandt.
Yes.
So I don't know of any other driver that's going to be in a position to be able to come in with their own sponsor.
Another thing, you're talking about the sponsors versus on-track performance. You mentioned a name, Paul Menard.
Yes.
Okay, he has a great built-in sponsor, Menards.
Yes.
What are you doing with it? Nothing.
Not much. Richard Childress Racing hasn't done much.
You've won a race at Indy, and you're going to rest on those
it's one of the
laurels?
crown jewels.
It's a
Brickyard
crown
400.
But, okay, so what?
We haven't heard anything from him since.
It's been a fluke. I mean, we talked about him under the radar last year, coming up to the chase, but he didn't do anything with it. He's not capitalizing off of that sponsorship. One of these days, that sponsor is going to go, look, produce or we're going someplace else. You kind of have to. They're getting their money's worth out of Matt Crafton, though, over on the Menards 88.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely, wholeheartedly. With that said, Mike calling in to check in on the idea of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship and whether or not Kyle Busch should be there. Mike, how are you today?
I'm great. How y'all doing?
Doing well. What do you think?
I don't think it's not him. It's basically, he's a good driver, but he's also a ticket seller.
That's true.
That's very true.
If it would have been one of the lower tier teams like a field filler, he wrecked, he's done. He sells tickets. They don't come to see the field fillers. They come to see the stars, and that's why I don't watch NASCAR.
There you go. I think that says it quite well, Mike. I appreciate it.
F1 and Indy is, we used to watch NASCAR.
And that's why we cover Formula One and Indy.
About their safety, and when he run over Kevin Harvick in the pits and almost hit the pit walls, they didn't do a whole lot to him. They're not going to do anything to the superstars, and that's just bottom line. It's a business. They sell tickets, and they want them in their racing.
There you go. Mike, I appreciate the call.
Y'all have a good day.
We'll do it.
Too,
Thank
Mike.
you. You too. We appreciate it.
That's a very good point.
We've been hearing that a lot more. There's this, what was the book that came out mid-1990s, late 1990s, whatever it was, the Jordan Rules.
Yes.
Talking about the NBA, there's the rules for all the other players within the National Basketball Association, and then there's the Michael Jordan rule.
Yes, that's true.
Or if you wanted to put it in the NHL, it's the Wayne Gretzky rule. Nobody can go out there. Nobody fights Wayne Gretzky. Nobody touches Wayne Gretzky. Nobody touches Michael Jordan. Nobody touches the stars in NASCAR. Yeah. We want to make sure that your Jeff Gordons and your Kyle Bushes and your Kevin Harvicks and these guys are out there so that we can get the people coming back and selling tickets. I've heard that more than once.
I have too. So what you're saying is somebody that's a lower tier team. Let's just throw out a name, David Gilliland.
Okay.
So you go out, you break your legs at Daytona, you don't get a waiver, but Kyle Busch, you do.
Hey, you might be onto something.
Does David Gilliland sell tickets?
Not as many.
Kyle Busch does.
How many shirts from David Gilliland did you see at Talladega?
I can't, like, on one hand,
okay.
Less than.
How many shirts from Kyle Busch did you see at Talladega?
Way too many.
Okay.
Not
we understand when Kyle Busch gets introduced, he's going to get booed.
Oh, yeah.
But he sells merchandise. He sells tickets.
It's Kyle Busch.
There you go. Same thing with the Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. A lot of these guys, let's face it. Yep. When we come back, we'll be talking about Tony Stewart. We're only 1/3 of the way through the fastest hour in radio.
There's always controversy in NASCAR, but not at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga. As a race fan, there are many things you love to be a part of, and just like the drivers, you want to finish the race. Cigarettes have been your blown engine, but now there's an alternative. Eddie and Shelly at Wild Vapors are former smokers that have found the track to help them finish the race of life without giving up something they enjoy. They found vaping over 3 years ago and wanted to help others take the suffering out of trying to ditch cigarettes. By finding what was missing from other vape stores, they designed Wild Vapors to be better than the rest. The owners mix a signature formula for their own brand in an off-site cleanrooms facility, using only the highest quality USP ingredients and leaving out the artificial sweeteners and other unnecessary chemicals, as well as offering many popular brands. The nicotine is included at levels tailored to your specific needs, and they design a plan to help you step down to eventually none at all. Find the healthier alternative to smoking. Make your next pit stop at Wild Vapors in Sylacauga today. Visit them in the Sylacauga Walmart Shopping Center or their Alexander City location. Call them at 256-369-2569. Stay on track with Wild Vapors.
4 new tires and a tank of gas. And we're back to the fastest hour in radio on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in. Listening to the fastest hour in radio here on Superstation 101 WIDE, the supersized edition. We still have an hour to go. We're going to be on until 9 o'clock this morning. Phone lines wide open to you. 941-1011, toll free 866-551-9933. Too shy to talk on the air. Feel free to talk online. We have social media open to us, Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/The Entertainment Roundtable.
That's right. You can also go to Twitter at Fastest Hour. Instagram, for photos and stuff. We're having some great photos. We got some great photos up there so far. We've had a great time having some of the dirt track racers in from Talladega Short Track. I'm sure we'll be hearing from Mark sometime here soon.
In all likelihood.
You can definitely go on there. Chris Bearden has. Brandon Howard's been onto our Facebook page. That's a great way to reach out and get in touch with us.
Love to hear from you. Okay, so we go from Kyle Busch to a guy whose year... Well, quite frankly, he'd like to forget it. We talked about how Tony Stewart finishing 28th in points, making his worst points finish for a full season of racing in his NASCAR career. Said he's ready to change things wholesale in his final season of Sprint Cup racing. And according to a report on motorsport.com, Smoke had already decided Chad Johnson was out as his crew chief, and he is prepared. Now, the decision has not actually been made yet, according to, or at least the announcement has not been made officially, but apparently Mike Bugarich, I think I got that right. If I didn't, I apologize, is going to take over the role of being crew chief. He's been nicknamed Booga, B-U-G-A. He would move over from his role as the race engineer for the 4-car of Kevin Harvick. So at least he's got a good pedigree. Question is now, can he step into the role and be that one guy who really hasn't helped Tony Stewart since Darian Grubb?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Smokes fans went nuts over the fact that Chad Johnston is gone.
Yes.
Couldn't be happier. I didn't see one fan
Not
of Tony
one
Stewart
comment.
that was unhappy with the fact that Chad Johnston was gone. They've been saying it all year. It's been, if I'm Chad Johnston, I just want to stay away from anybody that has anything to do with any type of fan base of Tony Stewart.
Yep.
For a while.
That said, let me say this, because I'm being the fan of Tony Stewart that I am. I'm a member of a couple of different quote-unquote fan clubs on Facebook and such.
Yeah.
Folks, the Greg Zipadelli as crew chief ship sailed
Gone.
years
Yes,
ago.
forget
Greg
it.
Zipadelli's not coming back to become the crew chief of Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
Not even on an honorary basis for one race or half a race. It's not going to happen. Greg Zipadelli is an executive with Stewart-Haas Racing. That's where he's going to be. Tony Stewart himself made the decision to get Booga, and I'm going to use that because I'm afraid I'm going to mess up his last name otherwise, to put Booga on the war wagon to be the crew chief. That's the guy.
Yeah.
It's like complaining about Clint Boyer becoming the driver of the 14 in 2017 and beyond. This was Tony Stewart's choice. You don't have a say in it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you truly are a fan of Tony Stewart, respect Tony Stewart's wishes.
And that's the thing. A lot of, and this isn't just race fans. This is just sport. This is fans of anything in general. They sit back in their chairs with their remote controls, and they play remote control quarterback
Monday morning
for football or for racing. They should do this. They should do that. Well, if you're just that knowledgeable when it comes to it,
start up your own race team.
Start up a race team. See what you can do. But I tell you what, Booga, I love that name, by the way. I'm hoping that is his real name.
That's everything that I can find says that that's his actual nickname.
All he needs to do is finish 27th or better.
And it would be an
And
improvement.
this is not a knock towards Tony Stewart, but if he finishes anywhere above 28 that he did in the points this year, that's rolls ahead of where he's been. But Tony,
at this point in time, if he can get the 14 to claim more than 3 top 10 finishes,
yeah, I mean that would be another accomplishment that
think about that.
Chad Johnston just couldn't get. He couldn't make the calls. He wasn't. It didn't seem like he was confident in his choices that he was making on the box.
Let's hope he learned some lessons, because the guy that we just talked about just a little bit ago, maybe he's got himself set up for 2016, now has Chad Johnston as crew chief. Chad Johnston wasn't out of work long. He takes over as crew chief for Kyle Larson at Chip Ganassi Racing for Felix Sabates. The report does not say what happened to Larson's 2015 crew chief, Chris Heroy, whether he remains with Chip Ganassi Racing or left the company by either being forced out or quitting. We don't know. But either way, Chad Johnston is Kyle Larson's crew chief. Larson finishing 2015 19th in Cup Series standings, 2 top 5 finishes, a step down from his rookie year where he notched 8 top 5 results. So we'll have to see whether this is going to be the combination that works out. It's not necessarily that Chad Johnson is a bad crew chief. He was certainly making a lot of wrong decisions there. This was his first time as a crew chief. Maybe he's learned his lessons, and maybe he partners better with a Kyle Larson. I don't know.
Let's evaluate here. Okay, so you look at the fact of he's gone. They're going to put somebody else. Booga's going to be on the box.
Yeah.
Chad Johnston's going to go over to the 42 with Kyle Larson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the thing is changes happen all the time.
Sure.
They happen good, they happen bad. It just depends on what actually occurs. Look at the fact of, this is the fan side of me listening to everybody freaking out a couple of years ago, and I did a video up because I got sick and tired of it.
Sure.
I was talking about, I don't even remember his name anymore, but he was a crew chief for Kevin for a while, and I went off about everybody.
Gil Martin.
No, it wasn't Gil Martin. It was before Gil.
The guy who Gil Martin replaced.
I can't remember his
name.
name.
All right.
That's how important he was in my life. but Gil Martin came in, major changes for the 14. Well, with 29
then
team,
the 29
team over there with Harvick. And then he's got Rodney Childers coming over to the 4, goes to a championship. Changes happen all the time.
Sure.
You have to find that right puzzle piece to fit together with crew chief driver combo. Because if there's no communication, you don't have anything. Dale Earnhardt Jr., prime example right there.
Oh, yeah.
With the communication breakdown that he had with several of his crew chiefs, and then has somebody on the box that actually can understand what he's needing and make those changes.
Yep.
That's what it takes. Sometimes you just gotta feel it around.
Yep, absolutely. With that said, let's go to a gentleman who we know quite well from out at Talladega Short Track. He's known as the Thriller out there. Jay Schiller, how are you, sir?
What's going on, my buddy?
How's everything going?
We working today. How about y'all?
We're working too. We're on the air.
I don't think so.
Well, work is
it's a loose term.
Yes, it's a relative term. How's everything else?
You've been working hard getting everybody sick.
Well, we're doing our best.
John's sick.
Yep. What you got on your mind, man?
I just called to chit-chat with y'all.
All right.
The season's over with.
Yeah.
What do we do now?
Well, yeah, that becomes pretty much the question, doesn't
We're all asking ourselves that question because tomorrow is going to be hangover day.
Yes,
literally,
no doubt,
with nothing going on.
Yeah, what do we do now? We basically all we got is silly season, and the thing about it is, silly season has pretty much already taken its. Whoever's going to be moving, we already pretty much know that they're going to move. Yeah. There's a couple of people that we're kind of curious about. Regan Smith is out there. We just got to talking about Brett Moffitt, your 2015 Rookie of the Year in the Sprint Cup Series. We don't know where they're going, but all the major seats they're taking.
Jay, what's your silly season like? You got a silly season. I know you guys got a silly season out there at Talladega Short Track. What's your silly season usually shape up to be during this time of the year?
Just lay back, take it easy.
Yeah?
That's your silly season?
That's pretty much it. You talk about deals we're talking to other people about. I'm just going to try to drive somebody else next year.
Okay.
Somebody said the radio station was going to start a race team up.
We are?
Yeah, that's what I was told.
Steve, is there something you haven't told me yet?
I don't know about actually starting up a radio show. I do know that we've got a deal that'll possibly put our logo up on a car. How's that?
I'm all about team.
I'll be all about that.
There you go.
I'm all about a team.
Now, yeah, I mean, if we could get Don Crawford to open up the purse strings and start a race team, sure.
He won't let us drive, though.
No, he probably wouldn't.
We'll
That's the sad part about it. So, you available to drive a car, Jay? I know you got your own.
I already done what I said I was going to do. Now, hey, y'all can just get in and drive away.
I understand.
It's already cleaned up. The guys cleaned the car up yesterday when I was out running around. And, hey, y'all can come in or sit in it, make all the laps you want.
Okay.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, we might take you up on that. Absolutely.
Hey, Dustin, or Steve, y'all can flip a coin, whichever one y'all want to do.
I got a coin.
We're going to put this thing in a Christmas parade, Tuff City Christmas parade.
Are you?
Yeah, we're going to have my Camaro on the row back, and we're going to have the race car on the trailer. So whichever one y'all would like to sit in the car.
We may.
I am very nimble. I'm going to tell you right now. Extremely nimble.
There you go. All right. When is the Christmas parade out there?
I believe it's going to be second week December. I have to check and see.
Okay. Yeah. Keep us updated on that and let us know.
Yeah, man.
We can get a radio logo and put on it and advertise up that part of town. Everybody can see.
I love it.
I'm all about that, man.
Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Keep us updated. Let us know exactly when that is. Okay.
You got our number.
I sure will.
All right. We appreciate it, Jay.
All right, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. You be
buddy.
careful out there. Jay Schiller, by the way, doing rollback and record work.
I got a chance to hang out with him. I know I said it before, but I tell you what, you want to talk about some fun? Hanging out with Jay and his crew down there on that Thriller number 17 was awesome.
Absolutely. You have to see about this. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off here? We left off with Chad Johnston. Let's go to Chase Elliott. And mentioned him earlier as taking over, obviously, the 24 for Jeff Gordon next year. He's bringing Napa Auto Parts back up to the Cup Series as well with him. They last time that they were there was the real big debacle with Michael Waltrip Racing, which pretty much ushered them on out of the sport. However, Napa is not going to be the sponsor for all 38 events on the calendar. How many times have we talked about that? You can get a main sponsor, but they're not going to do an entire season. Talk about ship sailing. That's pretty much a done deal now. We're no longer seeing that in NASCAR anymore. Right. 5 of those races, he'll actually retain one of Jeff Gordon's old sponsors, 3M, which moved from Roush Fenway Racing after 2014 to become a sponsor of Jeff Gordon in his final year. Going to stay with Hendrick Motorsports on the 24 and 2016, and have announced that they're going to be the primary sponsor for 5 events, remaining that kind of a sponsor in 2017. Number of races for 2017 not yet known. Germain Racing celebrated last week, as we detailed right here on the show. They weren't in as much of a celebratory mood this weekend, this past week. Following the signing of driver Casey Mears and sponsor Geico to long-term deals last week, which we talked about, Germain Racing had a bad race at Homestead, Miami. First, it was Mears involved in a crash that was triggered by Clint Boyer. He ended up finishing 42nd out of 43 cars Sunday. Sunday night, the team's hauler loaded up, rolling back up to the shop in North Carolina, involved in a crash, reportedly not the hauler driver's fault. Nobody was hurt, no injuries were reported, but I saw a picture of the hauler, and the hauler sustained some pretty good damage.
That's not something you want going into the off-season. No. But at least it's the off-season, and there wasn't a race week coming the following week. I will say it's kind of a bad but good.
Okay. Back to the idea of Front Row Motorsports here, changing a whole lot of stuff. Brett Moffitt wins Sprint Cup Rookie of the Year for 2015, driving the vast majority of the 31 of his 36 points races for Front Row Motorsports. Front Row is changing things wholesale. Among them, word possibly has them moving teams or moving brands again. During their time in the Sprint Cup Series, they've been in it for about a decade now. They first ran Chevys. They moved over to Dodge. In 2010, they shifted to Ford. Now word has them debating a changeover for 2016 again. No decision has been made. According to team officials, it will have to be decided within the next couple of weeks in order to be prepared for 2016. Also, could they undergo a driver change? It isn't known yet who will drive the team's cars. They got 3 of them. One report does have them moving back to Chevrolet, joining in a technical partnership with Richard Childress Racing. That would allow Richard Childress Racing to give Brian Scott more Sprint Cup Series experience by loaning him out to Front Row Motorsports for the 2016 season for one of those 3 cars. Brett Moffitt, J.J. Yaley, and David Gilliland were the 3 drivers that they were using this past year. None of the 3 of them really lit up the world.
No.
So some changes are in order. I don't know whether a switch over to Chevrolet is the best move or the worst move. It's certainly not the worst move they could make.
It's not the worst move, but why is it all of a sudden it's like as soon as you have a bad year or something, you want to change your make?
I'm not really sure.
I don't know if it's like a shot in the arm.
Well,
or something
here's the
along
thing.
those
It
lines.
wasn't even really a bad year. It certainly wasn't a bad year for Furniture Row Racing, but they're still switching from Chevys to Toyotas.
Yeah, that one still befuddles me. But I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to go for a little bit more money from Toyota than they're getting from Chevrolet. So that makes sense. But what are they going to do?
I don't know. I think the technical partnership, as opposed to the only real team that you could technically partner with over with the Ford camp, which is Roush Fenway Racing, and trust me, they've got problems.
Well, RCR's on their heels anyway. They can't get anything done over there. They've got nothing in the stable. They've got nobody doing anything whatsoever. They've got to figure something out. Well, I mean, here's a clue, and this is just me saying, Richard, maybe if you stop worrying about your grandson so much, start worrying about your race team and what's going where, you probably get something done out of that. I don't know, call me nuts, but Austin and Ty ain't going to do it for you.
Well,
you're going to need to do something.
Ty looks like he may be staying where he is. We'll get back to that in a minute. JTG Dougherty Racing has announced a new crew chief for driver AJ Allmendinger, promoted their 2015 crew chief Brian Burns. He is in another position not detailed within the organization, replacing Burns atop the War Wagon. Randall Burnett, who had been with Chip Ganassi Racing since 2005. Most recently, he was the team engineer for the 42 of Kyle Larson. We'll see whether that helps out any at all. All right, Fox Sports has announced their 2016 lineup for NASCAR coverage with the knowledge that Jeff Gordon was retiring from racing after this weekend and trading a steering wheel for a microphone at Fox Sports. It was a question as to who is going to be put where. Now it is all official. In the broadcasting booth, veterans Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip, been with Fox Sports since 2001 when Fox Sports came into NASCAR. Joined by the rookie broadcaster, Jeff Gordon. It's been a long time since Jeff Gordon was called a rookie. On pit road, Jamie Little, Chris Neville, Vince Welch, and Matt Yoakum. You're going, who am I missing?
I already know who you're missing.
Keep waiting. Pre-race show, NASCAR Race Day, featuring longtime host Chris Myers, along with Danielle Trotta and John Roberts, and Kenny Wallace, and Jeff Hammond, and Wally Dallenbach, all handling reports from the garage and motorhome area, along with Alan Cavana, Andrew Dowd, and Caitlin Vincey. Who's missing?
Vincey.
Yes.
I only did that because I got told it was wrong. I thought it was Vincey too.
No.
I was told I was wrong.
Every time I ever hear anybody say it on Fox Sports NASCAR Race Day, it's Vincey.
Yeah, I know. Vincey.
Either way.
Yeah.
Who's missing?
My main man, Larry Mack.
Yeah. Let's go down to the Xfinity series.
Who's an awesome guy.
I'm not.
It was cool getting a chance to talk to him at Talladega.
Absolutely.
I was like, you're talking to me?
Yeah. Xfinity Series coverage. Adam Alexander handles broadcasting. Michael Waltrip is going to be on commentary, joined by a rotation of Sprint Cup drivers up there. And we saw like Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon even took a turn up there, among others. So apparently they're going to continue that rotation of Sprint Cup drivers in the broadcast booth. Chris Neville, Jamie Little, Vince Welch, Matt Yoakum, and Hermie Sadler are going to be on pit road on an alternating basis, so that'll change basically from race to race. For that series pre-race show, Danielle Trotta going to be joined by former Sprint Cup booth man Larry McReynolds and Kenny Wallace providing analysis. So Larry McReynolds really has nothing to do with the Sprint Cup coverage anymore.
I'm kind of upset by that. The reason is Larry Mack is just so knowledgeable. I mean, I could listen to that man all day and learn from him. And that's where I've learned a lot about what I'm doing, what I do now.
Yeah, what we've seen over the past several years, whether you're talking NBC, Fox, ABC, ESPN, what we've seen is the combination of your professional broadcaster, the man who grew up in the broadcasting industry, Mike Joy in this case.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, then you get a driver, a man who has been behind the wheel, knows what it's like from the driver's perspective, be it Darrell Waltrip, Dale Jarrett, guys like that, Kenny Wallace, to a lesser extent, Kyle Petty, these guys. They know what is going on by the driver's perspective, and then you turn around and you put a crew chief in there. Fox Sports is changing this up. They're going to the professional broadcaster with the longtime driver, but they're joining the longtime driver with another longtime driver. You don't have the crew chief aspect of it anymore.
And and I know Darrell Waltrip was your other guy, and don't get me wrong.
He was
your other guy, and I think he's great and everything else. But I'm telling you right now, my decision, if I was over there at Fox Sports, would have been to put Darrell Waltrip down to the Xfinity Series.
Pair him up with his
and
brother.
Leave Larry Mack in there. So you have that crew chief with Gordon. I think those two would have just meshed so well. And we really would have gotten a better sense of how the cars are handling nowadays with Gordon fresh out of the Sprint Cup Series into the booth. It would have been great.
Late model Mark on the phone from Talladega Short Track now. And what are your thoughts about this change up in coverage on the broadcast booth?
Doesn't mean a difference to me.
Okay, you're not worried about that, huh?
Not one bit. But you boys might want to look out your front door because I sent a courier over to your place. I made a call to the local pharmacy this morning to send Dustin some antidepressant drugs because Kyle Busch wins Homestead as the champion. Take that, my brother. Take it like a man, Dustin. Kyle Busch, your NASCAR champion. What do you call him, Lord Baltimore or something?
Voldemort.
There you have it. I thought it was a very interesting race.
I was actually looking towards the door.
Yeah, I know. I had you. But I thought it was an interesting race. There was, of course, some scenarios that could have maybe changed things just like any other race. But I was really glad. I think it's a comeback, and a lot of the dirt-related websites lit up with saying, how can a guy miss 11 races and still be the champion? And then there's calls for NASCAR fixing and all this gibberish and baloney. The man raced his way in there. He won that thing. It could have been Harvick. It could have been Truex, and so on and so forth. But we got a different Winston Cup champion. Winston Cup, hello.
I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. Go with it, brother.
We got a different Cup champion. Congratulations to the Xfinity and truck winners, but I was really happy for Kyle. The guy went through heck, and he's got a new kid, and I just thought it was really cool, and I enjoyed it tremendously, and I'm bummed out the racing season's over with, but it has to have an end so you have a beginning, right?
That's true.
That's the only bad thing. You brought up a really good point about Kyle Busch. This year, had a kid, had all the issues that have gone on all year for him. Right. Isn't it amazing what a child will do for a NASCAR driver?
Absolutely.
Look what it did for Harvick.
Kind of grounds him, yeah.
It calmed Harvick down. Now Kyle Busch has one. Now he calms down, wins a championship. You know what? I see a baby boom happening. If you want to win a Sprint Cup championship, have a kid.
Yeah, it seems to be the ticket, but I just, people bellyache and moan about NASCAR, and there's bellyachers about NHRA, and there's certainly bellyachers on the dirt side. That's just all part of it. That's a lot of what us race fans do is cry and complain, and racers cry and complain. That's just part of the deal, and everybody knows it. But like I said, I enjoyed this racing season a lot.
Yeah.
I hated to see it end. Last Saturday night, I went up to Cleveland Speedway for the Gobbler, which was quite a fun event. I hadn't been up there in 6 years, and they just had a tremendous field of cars and a good crowd, and under the threat of rain and an hour drizzle. And Chris Madden won the 10,000, 77 lapper, only one yellow on lap 62, and that was pretty good. And it was just a good way to end the 2015 season. But before you know it, 6 weeks away, we'll be at the Ice Bowl. And
it's not that long.
Yeah, we'll be doing that. And I'd maybe down here in the future, the next couple of weeks, I'll bring somebody who's really close and dear to me, like the missus, and she can give like a female perspective on the racing situation.
I love it.
And look at Dustin with the sparkle in her teeth.
What week? You just got to let me know, because I don't know if I'll be in town that weekend.
He does have a couple of weeks that he's going to be up in Maryland. So.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Dustin, I have a message from Bethany, who works at the Winn-Dixie in Trussville. She says, "Hey," and we'll just leave that one at that. But,
yes, stop right there.
She's a good gal, but
good friend.
We'll get together. Don't forget, we got that short track Saturday coming up in December,
Absolutely.
and we'll since the news for NASCAR will be done, and we'll have plenty of time to talk about it. You guys
sounds good.
Have a great weekend. You're doing a great job as usual. And Dirt Late Models rule. We'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Late Model Mark, we appreciate it. Have a good weekend now.
I hope that was max dosage on the prescriptions that he sent me.
Yeah, it's probably going to need it.
Because I need them.
That said, all right, let's look back at the four people here.
Okay.
All right, we talk about conspiracy theories.
Yes.
All right, you can run a conspiracy theory for all four of them. All right?
You can, yeah.
Kyle Busch, obvious conspiracy theory. Oh, well, they wanted the guy to win after giving him the waiver, and, they wanted to make sure that he won.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick. Well, we wanted to make sure that he was the safe choice. We wanted to make sure he was going to win because he was the safe choice. We'll give him 2 in a row.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that we can give to Tony Stewart after such a really horrible deal.
Still would have been conspiracy anyway, because he didn't win a championship until he came over to Stewart-Haas and went back-to-back.
Okay.
So there's your still one.
Jeff Gordon, you have the obvious one of,
He's retiring.
we wanted to make sure that he got his championship in his final season.
Yeah, we've heard the drive for 5 so long. Let's just give him the 5th as he goes setting sail off into the sunset.
Yeah. And then, of course, you got the obvious runner-ups or Cinderella story when it comes to Martin Truex Jr. Well, we got to give the little team that could their championship so that they can go out there and maybe they can find sponsorship so they can stick around.
Anyway, you slice it. We talked about it on the show last week. I mean, we saw the storylines. We saw how each of them could unfold.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, now that we're in post-Homestead, post-championship week, now it's the kind of factor you can go back and you can still say it could have been either way, and it would have been a great season. Yeah. And
we can throw conspiracy theories out there all the time, and you know what? I'm not totally opposed to the idea of there being some sort of a little thing going on in the background.
Some are very
to make sure.
good. They're very creative.
Absolutely. And I'm not totally opposed to the idea that some of this stuff, to a small extent, actually does happen.
Yeah,
I think that it probably does. You and I, how many times have we talked about debris? And I use that term very loosely. Debris cautions.
Jimmy Debris.
Yes, exactly. So I'm not opposed to the idea of that. I don't think that they're messing with the person who's holding the title. Yeah. Somebody went out there. They actually went out and earned it. Now, granted, in the case of Kyle Busch, he had to get the waiver, but he fought his way in. He wins 4 races out of 5 races and gets himself into the top 30 in points. The man's talented. You can hate him all you want, but the man's talented.
I'm chewing it back a little bit, but
take a drink.
No, I don't know. I'm good.
Wash it down, man.
Kyle Busch, I bash him a lot. We all know this. He's Voldemort to me. But it's just that's the race fan part of me. Now I've taken the race fan hat off. I'm putting the broadcaster hat on.
Yeah.
Tremendous season out of the 18. Whether it, everybody talking about the 11 race thing or not, Kyle Busch.
Green around the gills there, John.
I feel really bad right now because I'm going to get so much flack from this from my friends. But I tell you what, Kyle Busch coming in the way that he did, being out 11 races, still coming in, winning 4 out of 5, going to the championship round, going toe-to-toe with Harvick and Gordon and Truex, who have been, stars all season long, Harvick and Truex Jr., of course. But, I mean, to go out there and win that championship, congratulations.
Wow.
To Kyle Busch.
Wow.
And that 18 M&M's Crispy Toyota team over at Joe Gibbs Racing. You are the champions, and I bow down.
I've said this before.
I'm now
going to
go
cameras in here.
No.
Yeah. In some
you don't want one on me right now.
He's looking as green as Kyle Busch's uniform, which is up on the TV screen.
I feel horrible, but you gotta give it to the man.
I'm going to change him from green to red. You ready for this?
You got to do it.
Do it.
Ty Dillon.
Oh God. Well, this is one I don't ever have to worry about
That's
winning
true.
anything in the Sprint Cup Series, so it's fine.
Ty Dillon been confirmed as running the 2016 season in the Xfinity Series for points. Dillon had claimed earlier this year he felt he was ready to step up to the Sprint Cup Series. He's about the only one. But no ride materialized for the young driver. He's not given up on the idea of a Cup Series ride, however, saying that he knew that he would have some sponsor package at Richard Childress Racing in the number 3 Camaro for next season. He just doesn't know where it might come from in the Sprint Cup Series, and quite frankly, nobody does.
Nobody's going to do anything with him on the Sprint Cup side. They've seen what it's done with his brother. Nobody's going to go out there and say, yeah, sure, I'll put hundreds of $1,000s into your car for the season so you can go destroy him like your brother.
Yeah, no.
Nobody's going to do it.
Uncertain where Dakota Armstrong is going to be in 2016. Armstrong and Richard Petty Motorsports going their separate ways. 24-year-old drove the number 43 Ford Mustang over the Xfinity Series over the past 2 years, earning 1 pole, 3 top 10 results, all in that time, claiming 13th. 12th in season points in those years, 13th and 12th, by the way. Richard Petty Motorsports not announcing a replacement driver there either. And while it is only a rumor, Richard Childress is reportedly considering Dakota Armstrong 2016 for their Xfinity Series efforts.
Dakota Armstrong was great in the Truck Series. I'll leave it at that. But in the Xfinity Series, didn't really hear too much out of him.
No.
He did well in the trucks. I think he should have stayed in the trucks. And this is where we clearly see when you're not ready to step up to the next level what you need to do right here.
We need to take a break. Our second and final break in the supersized edition.
We only have 30 minutes left?
We only have 30 minutes left.
Oh, man.
We still got plenty to get to, but we're going to have fun with it. Fastest Hour in Radio will roll on. We'll talk about Xfinity Series awards postseason. We'll also talk about that in the Camping World Truck Series and a whole lot more as the Fastest Hour in Radio, I love to say this, continues after this.
You're listening to the Fastest Hour in Radio on Superstation 101. Back to green flag action on the Fastest Hour in Radio on Superstation 101.
Hey, welcome back in. Fastest Hour in Radio, rolling on. 90-minute supersized edition on this Thanksgiving weekend. We appreciate you checking us out. Xfinity Series news continuing here. Ross Chastain has announced he is set to return to the JD Motorsports team for a second season of Xfinity Series races, 2016, running for points there again. He's going to remain in the number 4 Chevy Camaro. He finished 15th in points in the season that just ended, and in his rookie season, never dropped below 16th in series points. So great job by him. I'm glad to see that he's back. Chase Elliott voted the 2015 Xfinity Series most popular driver. Second year in a row, he's won the award, winning it along with Rookie of the Year and Series Champion back in 2014. He accepted the award on Monday during the combined Camping World Truck Series Xfinity Series Awards. Marks the 4th straight year that a junior motorsports driver has won the award. Danica Patrick, 2012, Regan Smith, 2013, Elliott the past 2 years. And then if you go back to 2008 and 2009, Brad Keselowski was driving for Junior Motorsports at that time. He won it back-to-back years. Chase Elliott joins him in back-to-back years. So Junior Motorsports got everything going on down there in the Xfinity Series.
Yeah, and it's something that, we've heard Junior talking about it a lot. This wasn't supposed to be as popular and as big as it's become for Junior Motorsports with the series.
Yep,
so
exactly.
That's great.
One more note here, and that's where Chevrolet notched their 17th manufacturer's title in the NASCAR Secondary Series. Kyle Larson got the win Saturday, made sure that was locked down for the bow tie. Chevrolet drivers winning 11 of the series events this past season, enough to overpower the efforts of Toyota, mostly Joe Gibbs Racing. Meanwhile, it was a close call all race season long, but Rookie of the Year honors going to the Joe Gibbs Racing driver, Daniel Suarez, edged out former Joe Gibbs Racing driver Darrell Bubba Wallace Jr., So Suarez becomes the first Mexican native to win that award in any NASCAR National Series and the first Drive for Diversity winner of that award. So
we knew great things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
of course, Darrell Wallace Jr. was also up for Rookie of the Year. He was also a Drive for Diversity graduate, if you will. So either one of them would have claimed that title.
Yeah.
But Daniel Suarez, you got to congratulate him. Darrell Wallace Jr., I feel for the man because the man is so solid.
I see what you did there.
He is a solid guy.
He is. I see what you did there.
What?
You blew the conspiracy theory out the water with that one.
Yeah, really.
You put it to rest before somebody said, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I like it.
Wallace was also a Drive for Diversity
That's right.
driver.
So for those of you who actually...
It was going to happen. We just didn't know who the name was going to be on the trophy. Okay?
It was great battle back and forth between them.
Yeah, exactly. So congratulations to all those guys down at the Xfinity Series. Put on a great show this year at all the tracks. Just had a real good time watching all of them.
I wonder if they had a good Thanksgiving.
Hopefully that they did. But now that we're into the point where we're post Black Eye Friday,
We can actually talk about the next holiday now.
Yeah, we can actually talk about Christmas. And if you got a person in the house that is a smoker and you're trying to help them get away from it, have we got a plan?
Yeah, the best thing you can do is tell your loved ones you love them. And the best way to tell them that you love them, if they're a smoker, is for them to quit smoking. It's for you. It's good for them. It's good for everybody around. John knows what I'm talking about.
I do.
He's doing an extremely bang-up job over there. I heard he went down to Wild Vapors. I heard you guys took a trip down there last week.
We did.
He got himself set up. Road trip. I like that. You can, too. Just stop down at Wild Vapors. Shelly and Eddie Bowman down there at Wild Vapors. We talk about them each week. Love having them as part of the show. Love having them as friends of ours, and it's been a great thing. It's great for you, too. You can go down, find that Christmas gift for your family. Show them you love them. Get them off the cigarettes. Stop down at Wild Vapors today in Sylacauga in the Walmart Shopping Center. You can also find them down in Alex City over by the Central Alabama Community College, right over there at College Corner. So there's 2 shops to serve you. We've talked about a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of things we haven't been talking about, and that's their juice line.
Yeah.
You got a great juice line. John, you've got Killer Crunch, correct?
Yes, it tastes like Captain Crunch cereal.
And that's, I love Killer Crunch. And there's so many different flavors. I mean, Killer Crunch is a very popular one. Like he said, it tastes like Captain Crunch. They've also got another one that I actually like that they just came out with called Dreamy Delight. It's pineapple and dragon fruit.
Oh,
I didn't care for that one much.
Yeah, well, of course you didn't.
Everybody's
that's why
got different tastes.
There's more for me. And that's the thing.
I like Hype.
Hype is a great flavor, and that's the thing. Down there, you walk in and you don't know what you're going to get, but in there, you can go in, you can try out the juices at the juice bar, you can find what you're going to like. Sometimes you find multiple ones, then you know what you want when you come back in.
And the reason that we tout Wild Vapors as opposed to all the other ones that may be in Birmingham or Cullman or Huntsville or wherever you happen to live that are closer to you, these people know what they're talking about.
Yes.
And if you're going in to shop for somebody else, they're going to ask a lot of questions about that person that you're shopping for to make sure that they get the right system for them.
And wherever you're listening to us right now, whether it be here in Alabama, whether it be in North Carolina, whether it be in Idaho, I don't know why I said Idaho,
because you can.
Wherever you are and you're listening to us, if you're a vapor or you're thinking of vaping, one of the biggest questions you need to first ask that vape shop when you go in is your juice sucralose free? Because at Wild Vapors, you're going to get sucralose free juice. It's horrible for you. Wild Vapors, Sylacauga, Alexander City. Stop by and see them today. Find them on Facebook, facebook.com/Wild Vapors.
And what's their phone number?
You can give them a call, too, as well. Let me scroll down because I totally forgot that part. 256-369-2569. Give them a call. Ask them some questions. Better yet, stop in there. Shelly will spend a minute. She'll spend 10 minutes. She'll spend 3 hours with you. Whatever the case is, Shelly and Eddie Bowman at Wild Vapors are there for you.
All right.
I love Shelly, by the way.
Absolutely. Does a fantastic job. I had the chance to meet Eddie not too long ago. So
yeah.
Real happy to have gotten to know him as well.
He's just cool.
One more note on NASCAR, and it goes back to the whole coverage idea. Fox, of course, Fox Sports 1 doing all the Camping World Truck Series coverage. Matter of fact, 22 of the 23 season events are going to be on Fox Sports 1. They got Vince Welsh moving up into the broadcast booth. Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons going to join him there. Hermie Sadler, Caitlin Vince going to be covering Pit Road. Fox Sports 1 covering 22 of the 23 series events. The lone exception will be there next October at Talladega. They're going to show that on the main network. Fox is going to carry the Camping World Truck Series race next October.
I love that.
Very cool thing. For the pre-race show, NCTWS setup. I can't believe they're going to do it that way. John Roberts hosts the two-time series champion. Todd Bodine commentary, and Ray Dunlap also will do some commentary and some field stuff in and around the garages.
Just call it the setup.
Yeah, just call it the setup. We'll be happy to do that. Let's go to the phones real quick. Dave out of Trafford, you found something that you need to find who actually owns this.
Yes, I have, Steve. It looks like a Saint Bernard.
That's a
he's
big
not
dog.
Real heavy, but he's a big old dog. It's either that or he may be mixed with Great Pyrenees, but he's white and he's got black head. He's healthy. He's not showing ribs or anything, but he needs to be groomed pretty bad.
Gotcha.
But he's real friendly. I mean, he came up to me and, just wants to be petted. He laid down on the porch. And
nice.
I don't want to feed him. I love animals. I love dogs, but I can't. I just, I got too many kids to be taking up another pet, and I like to go places. So
I understand
anyway,
totally. You're in the Trafford area?
Yeah, between Trafford and Bradford. I'm 2 miles from the Bradford Fire Hall. And there's a yellow mile marker sign or a marker sign out here with a house number on it, which is 9709. It's very obvious, yellow, black letters. So if anybody is missing this big dog, I'm calling him Hobo. That's
Hobo.
his new name at my house.
Does he have any tags whatsoever?
None.
No
Not
tags,
a bit.
no collar, no nothing.
Yeah, big
All right.
dog. I mean, I bet he weighs 110, 120 pounds.
That's
He's
a big
huge.
dog.
That's a big dog.
So it's somebody's dog. Okay. Did we get your number?
It's 215-8380. Anybody wants him, come get him.
All right, Dave. Hopefully we'll be able to find that pup.
Good
And,
call, Dave.
We appreciate the
All
call.
right,
We
guys.
appreciate
Have a good
that.
day.
Take care. Yeah, we certainly. You think about
We're
it.
dog lovers here
You
on the
post
show. We're
post
pet lovers.
Thanksgiving. You don't want to lose your pet.
No, gosh, no.
That's not what you want to do. So, Dave, thank
As soon
you
as
very
I
much
saw,
for doing
as soon as I heard Saint Bernard, I immediately.
God, that's a big dog.
Well, it wasn't that. I just thought of Beethoven.
Yeah. All right. So if this sounds like your dog, give us a call. 941-1011, toll free 866-551-9933. John will try and get you in touch with Dave out in Trafford.
That's what we do here at Superstation 101.
There you go, providing a service right in the middle of a racing show.
Yes.
Speaking of racing, let's get back into it with IndyCar. A couple of notes here. Verizon IndyCar Series Sunoco Rookie of the Year Carlos Munoz signing a deal to return to Andretti Autosport for the 2016 season, will remain behind the wheel of the number 26 Honda-powered entry. Munoz turning 24 January 2nd, going to team with Marco Andretti and Ryan Hunter-Reay next year. Marks the team's third year in a row together. Munoz started part-time in 2013, started on the front row, finishing second in that year's Indy 500. 2014 won the Detroit Belle Isle Grand Prix for the first career win and added 2 other top 5 finishes on his way to winning rookie honors 2014 and remains in the car through 2016 at least. Congratulations due out to the couple that wed last weekend, taking 2 famed racing family names and combining them. Graham Rahal and Courtney Force. They've been engaged for some time now. Both their seasons at an end. The IndyCar Series driver and the NHRA pilot took the vows last weekend out in California.
Graham Rahal is my hero because he could put up with John Force.
Yeah. That's
that could be a black eye Friday every Friday.
Trust me.
And Courtney, too.
You mess over Courtney, you're not only going to have to deal with Courtney, you're going to have to deal with John.
Yeah, you're gonna have 2 black eyes, one on the left, one on the right. Guaranteed.
Yes, indeed.
That's awesome, though. Congratulations to them.
Could James Hinchcliffe find himself driving a NASCAR racer next year?
All signs point to no.
Maybe.
Really?
Not on a full-time basis. He said with a 3-week gap in the IndyCar Series schedule in the summertime, he notes that he could be interested in running a NASCAR race during one of those off weekends. He told the Toronto Sun newspaper, quote, "I am super-duper keen." What is this, the 1950s? "I am super-duper keen to get into a NASCAR Xfinity Series car for one of the road course races in 2016. Added that the timing of the off weekends could not work out better for that to happen.
Ooh.
Nobody in the Xfinity Series has yet expressed interest, but
Give it time.
He does have Chip Ganassi over there, the other part of the Verizon IndyCar Series garage.
Mm-hmm.
And we know Chip Ganassi has a couple of things going on in NASCAR.
Yeah, go figure. He is a NASCAR team owner as well as IndyCar.
And then there's Dale Jr., who has that star car.
That's true, too.
A lot of possibilities.
There are many possibilities for him to step over. That'd be awesome. I love the crossover stuff that we do see.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some great stuff with Tony Stewart, Lewis Hamilton. We've seen some other stuff.
We'll get back to that, by the way.
Oh, again? Look,
yeah.
see, I'm psychic.
Yes, we'll get back to that. Officials with the Verizon IndyCar Series also implementing some new safety standards for 2016 and beyond. Among the new rules, more tethers being attached to parts that might fly off the car in a crash. They want to try to avoid the flying debris, such as what killed driver Justin Wilson at Pocono earlier this year. Also going to be more mandatory aero components added onto the car, effectively to minimize the chance of a racer becoming airborne after it goes into a spin. We see the flaps on NASCAR cars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're talking about something similar in Verizon IndyCar. Smart move.
We've also seen the tethers that they're talking about on the NASCAR side of the house with the hoof. Yeah, the hoof. The hoof.
Hoof.
The hood. The hood. I was thinking roof. Hood and trunk. You see the tethers inside there. If you get one of those, elite cars, you can actually see it. They're not a hoof.
The hoof.
90 minutes may be too much for Dustin.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I was thinking roof and said hood at the same time.
Go British.
It's 8:45 in the morning.
Go British. Say bonnet.
Bonnet. It's nice to bonnet off the car.
Bonnet and boot. IndyCar Series officials also announcing plans for the 100th anniversary of the Indy 500. Noted rock band has been announced as the headline entertainment for Miller Lite Carb Day. May 27th, 2 days before the Indy 500, the rock group Journey going to be performing for crowds at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You can talk about going back in time. I'm a Journey fan, but wow.
I'm going to hate my friend Diana now.
The band is almost back to its heyday form. Neil Schon, guitarist and founder of the group, is joined by the band's longtime bassist Ross Valerie. Those two pretty much been with Journey since the beginning. Longtime keyboardist Jonathan Cain. They announced the return of drummer Steve Smith. He was the drummer on albums like Escape and Frontiers during their big-time heyday. The singer, still Filipino, Arnel Pineda, who's been with the group since the mid-2000s, so if you're hoping for Steve Perry's return, no. 2 drivers have been nominated in the category of International Racing Driver of the Year for the upcoming Autosport Awards. In all 12 categories featuring winners, 8 of them will be voted on by subscribers to Autosport magazine. That's a European magazine, so if you haven't heard of it, we understand. The other 4 will be selected by staff of the magazine based out of Europe. The IndyCar drivers, their 2015 champion Scott Dixon, 2015 Indy 500 champion Juan Pablo Montoya. This will be Dixon's second time being nominated for the award following his 2013 championship season when he was nominated. It's the second time for Montoya as well, but he won this honor back in 2003, so we'll see what happens. The IndyCar pair are going to be facing 3 Formula One drivers for the award. Now 2-time defending series champion Lewis Hamilton nominated, along with his Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg, and 4-time champion Sebastian Vettel, who won the award 4 times himself, along with the GP2 champion Stoffel Van Dorn. We've talked about him on a few occasions. He's trying to get up into Formula One racing. Lewis Hamilton, by the way, is the defending winner of this award. The man who helped McLaren become a major power in Formula One has joined a rather unlikely team. Dave Ryan joined McLaren back in 1973 as a mechanic, rose up to the position of sporting director before he left under an on-track scandal back in 2009. He's accepting a position with Manor Marussia. The team owner, Stephen Fitzpatrick, noted that the team has only 2 championship points since they joined the Formula One grid back in 2010 and is seeking to shake things up, which has led to the departures of team founders John Booth and Graham Loudon. Ryan is going to be the racing director for the Manor Marussia team. I'm here to say, I hope that this means that Manor Marussia is in it for the long term, and it looks like he may actually be doing some moves that might get them, I don't know. I can't say going to become a top echelon team.
No.
But certainly a team that will at least compete for points on a regular weekly basis.
An improved team.
That's what we're looking for. We're looking for that step up.
That's right.
Another entity moving from McLaren to another Formula One team is actually a major sponsor, Tag Heuer Watches. This is huge. The upscale timepiece manufacturer has announced after the 2015 season it's going to end its 30-year-long relationship with McLaren, moving their sponsor money over to Infinity Red Bull Racing.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, and this makes the second major sponsor to leave McLaren over the past 2 years. Hugo Boss, another longtime McLaren sponsor, left to sponsor Mercedes' efforts. McLaren has announced, though, that they have signed a European winemaker, Chandon. They're going to be coming on board next year as a sponsor, so at least they've got some replacement money in there.
McLaren has got to figure something out.
Honda needs to figure something out.
Yeah, that's true, too. But they've got to get something done. You're looking at 2 huge sponsors gone.
Yeah, no kidding. And more will leave if they can't step things back.
They need to right that ship, or they are going to be sunk.
Absolutely. Joylan Palmer has been announced as the 2016 teammate for Pastor Maldonado with Lotus or Renault. As talks continue between the Formula One team and the French car maker. Palmer believes that should the deal go through and the team becomes a Renault Works organization, could be huge for the team moving forward. Renault so far struggled with the turbocharged V6 engines mandated by Formula One. We've been talking about that all year with Red Bull. But becoming a manufacturer team, Palmer thinks things might settle down. No timeline has been set for Renault and Lotus to complete talks one way or the other. But comments, let me get back to this. I'm going to skip down here because Infinity Red Bull Racing has announced that they do have a 2016 engine deal but stopped short about giving out details.
Yeah, I remember that.
Speculation has the team actually returning to Renault, but the labeling of the engine probably won't be Renault. It might be Infinity or Nissan instead of Renault, considering the rather chilly 2015 the two sides have endured. Red Bull team principal Christian Horner told media back at Abu Dhabi on Friday, quote, "We've entered into the 2016 World Champion. We've signed a contract for an engine, but I can't tell you what it'll be called at this moment." He did add, by the way, it's a short-term contract, so 2017 and beyond, things may be changing yet again.
Well, they want to see changes. If they're not seeing changes, that leaves them the door and the options to go to a different choice.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's Renault's potential deal, purchasing Lotus, making it a works team. Time is actually quite short. How short? A hearing is slated for December the 7th in Britain to decide whether the team goes under administration, which means that the government effectively takes over the team. And this is something we've seen before. Both Manor Marussia and Caterham did that before going into the 2015 season. Out of that, Caterham never emerged. Cyril Abiteboul, who represents Renault's Formula One interests, did tell media that an announcement is not expected this weekend, but said this, quote, there will be an announcement very likely in the course of the next week. So I think that they're working things out. But if they don't, December 7th is, well, it's a red letter day in American history, but it'll be a red letter day in the history of Renault and Lotus as well. So well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, it's going to be...
There was a vote that was held recently talking about trying to get the client engine idea back up, Cosworth specifically.
Right.
Well, yeah, apparently the vote did not go well, but comments after the vote left open the possibility that it could come back should the proposed ideas not solve the problem to FIA's satisfaction. One of the initial early thoughts on manufacturers' plans that would be that teams would be required to supply to any number of teams as required to make sure that they all stayed on the grid. But those same regulations would state that a minimum number of teams must supply engines too. So you at least have to supply to a couple, depending on what the FIA says. Weird stuff here.
Yeah, that's really...
They're trying to figure out how to lower the costs overall. I don't think FIA or the teams in Formula One have figured all this out yet.
Well, of course, they've been operating with so much money for so long, and now it's getting to the point where, okay, now we're starting to see some issues, financial issues.
Now we got to tighten our belt some.
And now maybe we have to come down from $30 million a year for a race car to lower than that.
Now, should the client engine idea come back, Cosworth has said, no, we're not going to get back into it. F1 head Bernie Ecclestone cited the possibility of having an engine supplier that did not have a team as a possible answer to problems like what Infinity Red Bull was experiencing, uncertain over whose engine package they would run. Cosworth cited the cost of restarting their engine program and having to retool their equipment to produce more than the one prototype engine that they mocked up. They decided simply it was not in their best interests. Find out. Preliminary approval being given to a new aero package for Formula One that would debut in 2017. It would give the cars something of a retro look, but it would also up the speed of the car, which sounds strange because you think about all the little aero swoops and things that they do on these Formula One cars now. It actually has slowed them down, strangely enough. Pirelli is already working on the wider tires. We talked about that, getting them more traction. Now where it has the aerodynamics of the car being reworked, resembling more of the racers of the early and mid-2000s.
Oh, cool.
They'll look more aggressive at the same time. They'll add more downforce, therefore upping the speed of the cars, especially going through the corners. Final approval expected sometime this upcoming week.
I like the mid-2000s cars.
Absolutely.
They were awesome.
Clean, ready to go.
Yeah, now they just look like a over-modulated thing.
Oh, yeah. It's like people are sculpting everything out of clay and going, hey, we can take this little bit out of here, but it doesn't look that good.
That's the thing. You go way too much, you go too crazy, you go too with way too many curves and everything else. You're ultimately going to hit a peak where you're not going to get anything else.
Yeah, exactly.
And now they've gotten that, so it'll be great.
They've pretty much gotten there.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's where
so
they've
I'm looking
hit.
forward to this. Couple of Formula One drivers have expressed interest in turning laps in NASCAR before they're done racing. One of them is Red Bull Racing's Daniel Ricciardo. He has actually been invited to run a road course race in the Xfinity Series next season by no less than Dale Earnhardt Jr. for Junior Motorsports. But with things up in the air for the organization, he's put any plans like that on hold. Then you got Lewis Hamilton. Yep, that Lewis Hamilton. He enjoyed the Sprint Cup Series season finale sitting atop Jeff Gordon's pit box, along with, by the way, Mario Andretti.
That was awesome.
Mario Andretti kicked Rick Hendrick off of the war wagon for Jeff Gordon, because that's how big Mario Andretti is.
Well, seeing them together, all three of them before the race was amazing.
Oh, it's great stuff.
That picture was awesome.
So after watching the four-time champ's final race before he retired, Hamilton said upon arrival in Abu Dhabi about NASCAR, quote, "It was a really cool event. I hope to get to do one day."
Did you hear the story from Jeff Gordon about that? About Lewis Hamilton showing up for this race?
No.
He had been on him for a long time. They've been friends for a very long time.
They've been friends for a long time, yeah.
He's been trying to get Lewis to come out to a NASCAR race for a long time.
It took Jeff Gordon retiring to do it.
And that's what it kind of came down to. It took Jeff Gordon's last race for Lewis to show up. And Lewis, when they interviewed him on MRN, he was just having
gushing.
a ball.
Yeah,
He's
he
like,
was
I
gushing.
didn't realize how much fun this could be. The tailgating down here, it's been great. I love it. I should have came sooner.
Here's the thing. He added that he felt that there was a lot that Formula One could learn from NASCAR, saying these words, quote, "I would really have to think about that, but there are definitely things that they do, NASCAR, a lot better than us, Formula One. Or, for sure, what we could learn from them. It was a great show, a great spectacle for the fans who can get close to the garages, in the background, close to the drivers." You think about it. We've talked about that many times.
Yeah.
You can't really do that in Formula One.
You can't do it anywhere.
You can do it in IndyCar. You can do it in NASCAR. You can do it in the NHRA. Can't do it so much in Formula One.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about our motorsports that we have.
Absolutely. Not many Formula One drivers have had success in NASCAR. In fact, the only driver who came from Formula One to NASCAR who has a win is Juan Pablo Montoya. Drivers like Scott Speed have tried it. Kimi Räikkönen only lasted a year or two, actually really only a couple of races before he went back to Formula One or moved on to other forms of racing.
It takes some time to change things over.
Absolutely. It's a very different form of racing, no
Yes,
doubt
it
about
is.
it. And the same goes for going from stock cars to open wheel.
Yeah.
To have immediate success, not that easy.
Look at JP Montoya. Came over from open wheel, had a horrible time over in the NASCAR side. Had a little bit of, a little bit of good stuff, but ultimately went back. And look what he's done since he's been back. He's back in his groove. He's back where
that's
he
where he's
belongs.
comfortable.
That's where he's comfortable.
Yep.
That's where he feels
Absolutely.
good.
And then, of course, we do some talk about the Formula E series. And I can't believe we're going to come up with the last story here. But before we get to the last story, here's this. The fifth round of the 2015-2016 FIA Formula E Championship Series set to take place in North America, but not going to take place in the United States. They finally decided it's actually going to happen in Mexico City. Officials announced, subject to approval by the FAA World Motorsport Council meeting that's coming up in early December, that they would host Round 5 March 12th, 2016. If approved, the track would be 1.3 miles long, largely, strangely enough, an oval-looking street course. They have a road course kink that's actually going to utilize a portion of the Hermanos Rodriguez course that the Formula One used just a couple of weeks ago. It'll have 18 turns in all, but if you go on to, and I believe it's FIAFormulaE.com, and you go into the news section, scroll down a little bit, you look at that course, it looks like a big oval course with a kink in it.
Oh, nice.
It's weird. How is this a street course? How do they make an oval course out of streets in Mexico City? I've never looked at a map of Mexico City, so I don't know.
I've never really thought about it, but I guess I need to now.
It's really odd. It's one of the strangest things that I've ever seen in my life.
They like circles?
Yeah, apparently. Or in this case, ovals. And then there's this. As strange as it is.
This is what we're going to finish with?
Yes, this is what we're going to finish with. Because you think about this for a second. You and I talked about how strange it was to watch Formula E Series races and to hear no engine noise.
Yeah.
To the point where on the debut race, Fox Sports 1, which covered it here in the United States, they apparently didn't know what to expect either, so they had a music bed underneath for the entire hour.
Which was annoying.
Which was just flat out annoying, you're right. So now that they've gotten comfortable with it, okay, it's still odd not to hear engine noises, but okay.
Okay.
Would you watch a racing series that had no driver behind the wheel?
No.
No. John, would you watch a racing series that had no driver behind the wheel of the car?
We talking test crash dummy Dave?
No. We're talking automated.
If I want to watch a race...
That's not a race.
Yeah.
That's not a race. If I want to watch a race with driverless cars, I'll slap in NASCAR 2015 and just put a race on and watch the race.
There you go. But here we go. FAA Formula E officials contracted with a company by the name Kinetic. I guess it's European. They have the intent of launching a driverless electric car series as soon as next year. The plan would be for Kinetic to build the driverless car. It would be operated by pit crews using direct computer connections and a lot of artificial intelligence to run the race on the same courses that Formula E Series runs. The plan would be for 10 teams, using 2 cars each, running a Formula E pre-race event, each race lasting about an hour, and then you clear the track about, I don't know, give or take an hour break, and then you put the Formula E Series out there.
Oh, we've already done this. This is the movie Cars.
Well, you might be onto something there.
And Cars 2. We've already got that.
I'm long trying to forget Cars 2.
Are we gonna put big eyes on the fronts of them? Oh, that's awesome.
Sure.
I love that idea.
Might as well.
Why not?
This is a bad idea from the get-go.
Run!
I hope FIA Formula E scraps this idea because
It's
it's
better.
junk.
We'll start a petition.
All right. Next week, we're back to our regular hour.
It's been fun.
And we've had a blast. We
Yeah,
really
man.
enjoyed it. John, thank you very much for doing everything that you've done. Dustin, we appreciate it. We'll be back next week. Another hour of the fastest hour in radio right here.
See ya!